My brain hurts. So you're a big fan of Quentin Tarantino's look, huh? You think he's a handsome devil?
Yeah. Sexiest guy in Hollywood.
Doesn't look like a foot or a toe or anything like that. He is, he got his first role as an Elvis impersonator in the Golden Girls from what I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at him in From Dusk Till Dawn, he almost kind of looked normal then.
Yeah.
He didn't look like what he does now. Now he looks like creepy.
What, do you think it's kind of weird? Like you mentioned, he looks like a big toe when he has such like
lust for feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Once Upon a Time in America. I think it was last week or the week before, and it's just like the focus on the feet. And I'm like,
you were telling me about it.
Yeah, it's like every time, man.
Now, do you think if because I remember hearing people talking about that beforehand. Do you think if you didn't hear people talk about it, you wouldn't have registered it, or?
Depends, because there's like Death Proof. I mean, he has like Kurt Russell licking the girl's toe that's hanging out the window, so you can't really ignore that. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where the girl had her feet up on the dashboard, you can kind of like ignore that. But then in the Kill Bill with the wiggle your big toe scene, you can't really ignore that one either. Like, he makes it a focus.
You think like the actresses feel weird about that? Like, because you know what he's like after it's filmed, when he's editing and cutting the film, you know what that means. Yeah,
he's doing what he did in the Pulp Fiction when he said, you don't throw a man out of a window over a foot rub.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you're like Quentin Tarantino and a foot rub is something super sexual to a weird guy like that, then maybe you would throw a man out of a window. Now that window throwing man is doing Arby's commercials.
Is he?
Yeah, Vin Rames is the where's the meat guy.
Okay. I thought you meant Quentin Tarantino for some reason. I was like, what?
No, his head looks beefy, but he's not involved in the Arby's that I know of. Do you eat Arby's? I don't know why people eat Arby's.
Never. And is that anything?
No, not like I said it. It's like, no, never. Like, it wasn't even a thought in my mind until you just said it. I would never go there.
Because, and it's nothing like, I hear like diarrheas and stuff like that, but it's not because of any of that. It's because the only one near us is like right next to where I work.
You just want to be up there?
So I don't ever want to go back up there when I don't have to work. And every time I'm done with work, I just want to get home so fast that I don't want to stop anywhere, especially like right there.
At Arby's.
Yeah, at Arby's.
With their fucking shitty horsey sauce. It's weird that a business could be thriving when it's like cornerstone is roast beef. Chipped roast beef.
Yeah, that's like another thing. I'm more of like a burger guy. Like,
yeah. I prefer me a nice pastrami sandwich.
I know. So does Giovanni.
Oh, I like that guy. Hey there, people. You're listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me, as always, Spencer, the Belgian Butter Bandit Church.
I like it.
I made that up as I was saying it.
I was wondering,
pre-thought.
I was wondering because there was like no like normally folks before pre-show like Caleb's like shit.
Just a pause.
I gotta come up with a name like, and you didn't say anything when we were getting ready to start. I was like, I thought it was gonna be like one of those. And with me is Spencer.
The Canadian cock cracker. Ow. That was like that's your job. Just bent. Never mind. I don't want to talk about wieners anymore. I always talk about wieners. It's a problem. If it's not wieners, it's buttholes. There's what is wrong with us?
Well,
what's wrong with you? You bring it up.
Well, isn't it? Can we just plead like what's the dude from Superbad or whatever? He drew.
Yeah, Jonah Hill just kept drawing
the wieners. It's like that, but we just talk about wieners. Which I feel like aren't as bad.
Our luck, we would get like Neil Gaiman on the show somehow, some weird random fluke. We'd be in Pittsburgh and see him, and he'd be like, "Hey man, we're like these writer guys, and we have a podcast. You want to be on?" And he would get on, and like the first thing he'd be like, "So what do you think about willies and tallywhackers?" Like, fuck,
dude, you have no idea.
You open up a can of worms that can't be closed, buddy. Can of Vienna sausages.
I hope you have nothing to do for the next 2 hours, sir.
We want to talk about smells, colors, or textures first. Speaking of weird smells, colors, and textures, today we're talking about how to write like Quentin Tarantino. You know his movies: Pulp Fiction, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Kill Bill, some other ones, Django Unchained. He's only made like, I think, 10 official movies that are his movies.
I thought it was like under 10 because I thought he was only doing 10.
You have Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
You have Jackie Brown, Pulp Fiction. Let's see, I said Django, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Kill Bill 1 and 2, but I think he only counts those as 1.
Yeah.
So I'll just say 1 that puts us at 6. Death Proof. He didn't do From Dusk Till Dawn. That was Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah. I think he like wrote it or something, I think.
Yeah. What ones am I missing? True Romance wasn't him either. He just wrote the script. Did he do Natural Born Killers? No.
No,
that was Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
You're missing 3. Glorious Bastards.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, and 2 other random movies that are probably really good. I've seen all his movies, I think. This article is from the Writing Cooperative, and this is by Mr. James Woods. Jim Woods, not James Woods. James Woods is a separate guy that people don't like anymore.
Yeah.
He's kind of a jerk. He got banned from Twitter for being a jerk. Jim Woods. No relation. Yeah, he has a picture. It's not
doesn't look like him.
No. No one tells a story quite like Tarantino. He has his own distinct style, and he's, I don't know. If I can read that. So going into these Quentin Tarantino writing tips, because we had this discussion a while, that's what gave me the idea. We were talking about,
like
script writing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
About, because you thought it was like,
very
quick,
like
quicker to write a script, and I thought it was like more prose and stuff. And maybe this article will give us a definitive answer because we don't look things up besides that. So the first tip is writing is the foundation for everything. Well, no, man.
I feel like that's always like the gimme go to point on any of these kind of articles.
Writing's the most important thing when you're writing. Really? While in his 20s, Quentin worked at a video store called Video Archives for over 4 years. During this time, he made a featured film during his time off. Is this just me, or does this seem written weird? Anyway, he would save money to rent film equipment and then film as much as possible during the weekend. I might have had a stroke or something when I was playing basketball. No, it's just like in my mind the words are jumbling. Then he would save up more money to keep making. He worked at the film store, saved up his money, and that's kind of how he learned how to make films, by making a shitty one that I think he eventually threw away. As he finished his movie, he realized that he did not spend enough time working on the writing. The story was a mess, so the movie was a mess. In his own words, Quentin says, "I failed, but I learned how to make a movie." That was his film school. Should I do what he does when he gets interviewed by like black interviewers? You ever hear him?
Oh yeah,
he just gets real like ghetto sounded for some reason, but not like goofy white guy impersonating.
He morphs to whatever group he's talking to.
Yeah,
because if it's a whole bunch of like
white women,
he talks different then too.
Weird.
It's very weird. Like if look that up on YouTube, folks. It's funny.
It's hilarious because I was watching a video he did, and he was talking about Django Unchained. And it was with Sway on Shady 45. And he, at the beginning, he sounded normal, but he just started getting blacker and blacker sounding.
I mean, somehow it sounds, genuine, though. Sometimes. Yeah. It's weird,
Yeah, but he would say things, he'd be like, crack ass, cracker. And he started just adding A's to cracker. And, he was like, why are you saying it like that all of a sudden? It sounds stupid, dude. And he just, and he just be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Folks, fucking look those videos up of him. It's hilarious. Those compilations and stuff they have. It just sounds bad. It sounds like B-Rad G from Malibu's Most Wanted. Not saying.
What if you found out that the secret of that movie is that Quentin Tarantino wrote all the dialogue for that movie?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. No, because there's not enough. There's not enough swearing in that movie. Yeah. As he finished his movie, he realized that he did not spend enough time... I read that already. In the end, the footage he shot was turned into guitar picks. Whatever. What the fuck does that mean? Anyway, the movie was turned into guitar picks and never saw the light of day. But he learned a ton and realized that he needed to start with solid writing. As a result, writing is now the foundation for all his work. I mean, that makes more sense in this because, script writing and filmmaking. Yeah. But obviously, the foundation of film script writing would be writing.
Yeah. Which, I wonder, I wonder what that movie was about. If it was something that he eventually kind of remade later, It's
probably just about a guy who works in a video store.
Who's into feet.
Yeah. He really likes feet. Number 2, this one might be a little more helpful. Know each of your characters intimately. When you are writing, it is important to know each character really well. Every character has a backstory. Quentin will often write out that backstory in a screenplay, even if he knows it won't be shown on the movie screen. He writes what would make the screenplay a good read. For example, in the Kill Bill screenplay, there's a sequence where the bride drives to Texas in search of a rock with an X on its marking her stash of passports and supplies. That'd actually be a helpful scene.
Yeah.
Explain a lot. Tarantino says if the bride does not find the rock, she just assumes her quest for revenge is not meant to be. But in the screenplay, the bride finds the rock, and this scene solidifies that she will seek revenge on those who tried to kill her. Again, this entire passage is in the screenplay, but is not in the movie. Tarantino never hesitates to really dig deep into each character. He knows their motivations, their likes, and their dislikes. Most importantly, he knows each character's origin story. I've heard of the people doing this. Like, people actually talk about this a lot on Twitter. They'll talk about their characters, and they write the backstory for the whole characters and the origin and what they favorite foods, colors, and things that'll never come up. Do you do that in your work, or would you want to?
I haven't done it yet, but I don't think I've done a story yet where that would prove beneficial.
Like a story where you really need the character super flat. That'd be more like a novel, probably.
Yeah, and I think that would be a good thing to do if you plan on writing series.
You'll have a core base and because a thing of information. So you could look back on it and know if you ever have a scene where a fucking character's eating an apple and you're like, oh, he hates apples.
Yeah. Or because then if you set a lot of that up beforehand and just so it's there, because some of these people got 10, 15 long series.
Yeah.
So you never know what might come up or what you might end up diving into, and that can just save you the work later on. You have that file you can go back to and instead of trying to figure it out on the spot.
Right. Number 3, use simple tools to write. This one I thought was interesting. I'm actually I just bought a new notebook and I'm going to implement this for writing a novel. I think this will be if I hate it, then I don't really lose anything. I did some writing.
But handwrite a whole novel?
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. You seem so happy about it.
Don't worry about it. Did you watch that video I posted earlier on Facebook about it wasn't that long ago, about this guy on a plane, and it just starts off with him super enraged and people breaking up. It looked like it was a fight, but he's just like, shake my hand. I just want to shake his hand. That's all. I just want to shake, and he's freaking out, and he sounds like the Hulk, but he just wants to shake the guy's hand, but it's so violent.
No, I haven't had a chance to get on the old Facebook yet today. I'll have to check that out.
Hold on, you know what? I don't have the cord to plug it into the computer, but I'll just play it into the Microquake. It just sounds hilarious, the way he says it. He sounds. Because he's just an old fat white guy, but it's...
But you have no context for why he wants to shake this guy's hand?
No, not at all. This is how it starts.
I'm gonna shake your hand. I'm gonna shake your hand. Shake your hand. I'm gonna shake your hand. I wanna shake his hand. I wanna shake his hand. I wanna shake his hand. You're fooling me off the fucking plane. I wanna shake his hand. That's all I wanna do. All I wanna do. You stupid son of a bitch.
And it goes on for another minute of him just freaking out, but he just was so angry. I wouldn't want to shake that guy's hand.
Yeah.
Just look at him when he's saying it. Like, I've never seen that menacing, somebody menacingly trying to shake your hand.
I think it's weird because, like, the guy he kind of looks like a nice guy almost, but just the way he's saying it and just the look that he has.
The fact that he's so aggressive about it.
I'm gonna shake his hand.
I'm gonna shake his hand. Like, when he's all red. It's like, what happened before that? That's something that needs context. Where the fuck were we? Oh, he used simple tools to write.
Not bullshitting on your cell phone.
Shake your hand. I'm gonna start doing that aggressively to my customers at work. It's like, I'm gonna shake your hand. Like, anytime you stick your hand out when somebody wants to give you a fist bump, like, no, I'm gonna shake your hand. Use simple tools to write. Tarantino does not use a computer. He doesn't even use a typewriter. Most people don't. Instead,
right? Like, fuck you. Like, you're using a typewriter. You hipster fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty hipster-ish.
I mean, I get, like, if you can find, like, an old styly, like, typewriter and have it, like, in your office, that'd be kind of cool. But to actually use the thing, like,
there's so many better ways.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here with the whiteout.
Hey, when I was...
Who has the spelling skills for a typewriter nowadays?
Nobody. I learned how to write on a typewriter because I was poor and we couldn't afford a computer. And my mom's typewriter that she gave me had a fancy button where you hit it and just smeared it stamped it with the whiteout.
I think I remember you telling me about that before.
But then when you'd retype over it, it'd spell smeared shitty looking. Like, it was very inconvenient. It's just the whole time, like, I wish I knew how to write on a computer. I wish I had one of those thingies. Anyway, since he doesn't write on a fucking nice-ass typewriter or a shitty computer, he uses notebooks and is very methodical about it. Words from Mr. Tarantino. My ritual is, I never use a typewriter or computer. I just write it all by hand. It's a ceremony. I go to a stationery store and I buy a notebook. And I don't buy like 10. I just buy and then fill it up. Then I buy a bunch of red felt pens and a bunch of black ones. And I'm like, these are the pens I'm going to write Kill Bill with. I feel like I've made them like Southern almost.
You dig?
You dig? Through the use of simple tools, Tarantino avoids distraction and has clarity. It's worth noting that he never graduated high school, so it's very possible that he does not know how to type and... Oh, come on.
Yeah,
he's a fucking famous rich dude. He doesn't know how to type.
Who writes?
Yeah.
Who probably has a lot of not a lot of computers, but...
Because, when you, like, edit movies, you just edit it by hand, too, right? You don't put them on a computer or anything like that. These days, we just do everything by film strip still. Yeah. Write it out with a typewriter. Like, you know what, Jim Woods? You are like James Woods. You fucking saying dumb shit. Quit saying dumb shit. So anyway, folks, if you want to try something different with your writing, try writing it by hand.
I don't know how that would work.
Just try writing a short story completely by hand without any technology nearby.
I feel like I couldn't read it when I would be done.
Caleb, what does it say? I don't know, man, but if this was on the phone, it'd be one big red squiggle.
Yeah.
Like, Spencer, I think somehow you learned to write in Russian. Wouldn't that be fucked up if you grew up, but for some reason your teachers taught you Russian, like how to write in Russian, and everybody else English, and they didn't tell you, and then but you learned how to speak and everything else in English and read in English, but, well, I guess you couldn't read in English because then no one makes sense. Yeah. But then, you just got older and you're just like, why is my letter so squiggly and everybody else's is different? Number 4, tell your story organically. Oh, yeah, that's some more vegan talk for you. More hipsters and vegans.
Typewriters,
and they probably use, instead of a calculator, like a
the thesaurus. No,
abacus
or no, is it an abacus? I think
abacus, whatever it's called, the fucking thing with the little stupid. I just like using this for real. They bust that out of their back pocket when they're like checking out somewhere. Tarantino does not use outlines. He'll even go into a story not knowing how it's going to end. In his latest movie, The Hateful Eight, that was the other one. Yeah. That was a good one. I just watched that 2 weeks ago. Again. The Hateful Eight, when he wrote the screenplay, he did not know who poisoned the coffee. Ooh. This is a major part of the movie. In his words, I didn't know who did it. I wanted to find out as the viewer would find out. I mean, that's cool, especially when you're writing mysteries and whodunits.
Yeah.
Because if you know ahead of time who's going to do it, you kind of steer towards that.
Yeah.
And then it might inadvertently put some almost spoilers or like, things that the fans will figure it out quicker. But if you wait till the very end and then just tie it together, then those things won't be so prominent in your work.
And then that way too, it would be easier to backtrack in the redrafts to lay better clues, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Tarantino believes that the ending is going to be pretty obvious once you really dive into the story. Remember, the story is character-driven. The characters take over, so planning isn't important. Okay. So important. It's as important. Whatever. In Tarantino's words about endings, he says, with a movie like Kill Bill, you're going to have to kill Bill, right? Good point. You got to kind of kill Bill or it's false advertising. People will probably sue and get their money back because that's how America works now. Remember, a good story unfolds in a natural way. That's what draws the audience in and keeps them engaged. If you take a look at Pulp Fiction, you can see how Tarantino achieved this goal. Even with the non-linear structure and 3 protagonists, the story simply unfolded before your eyes. Out of order, in order, it doesn't really matter. The story absolutely works. So what do you think about not having an ending at all in mind? I usually have my ending before I have anything else.
Yeah, because a lot of times when like a story idea comes to mind about like when it pops in my head, it's normally like, oh, what about if this happened to cause that kind of...
Yeah, and you're just like, how can I get the character to that?
But I mean, there's been times when I've kind of done that and then like I've started writing and it's like kind of, changed and stuff. That's part of the deal, but...
I usually use my ending as like my lighthouse so I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I don't get lost. And like whenever I'm writing the story. Yeah, the stories, when I do write stories that I don't know the ending, those are usually the ones I end up either abandoning or it takes me forever to finish just because I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, and if you don't... Like, the story that I'm working on, I knew how that... I kind of almost knew every basic plot beat for the most part. And if I didn't know that, I feel like it'd be harder for me to write because then I'm like... It's almost kind of like a goal, kind of. Like, I don't know what I'm writing to. So it's kind of like going for a sprint or like going for a jog, but you don't know how long you're jogging for.
You just start running.
Yeah, and then you're done when you're done, maybe.
But you might crap out halfway and be like, shit. Yeah, I also think it's good to have, like you said, to know where you're going. You can almost have certain spots as, like, I want to hit this spot, and this spot, and then the ending. And that way, once you get to a spot, you feel some kind of reward. Like, okay, I'm in the right direction still. I'm still making it.
That or like, if you have trouble with like a word count, but you can use like this scene or this chunk of the story, like
needs to be.
I know if I can get to like if I can figure out this part of the story by the weekend. You might be able to do that other than be like, I need to do 3,000 words by the end of the weekend. And it's like, that's a really big goal. But...
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, too, is just, especially with the word count, if you know you have to hit these specific scenes in your story, you could kind of, estimate the length of those scenes and then the rest of your story, how long it needs to be to reach that word count without going over or too much under. Number 5, use humor and dialogue to your advantage. When you look at Tarantino's writing, you also have to look at the way he writes dialogue. Tarantino's really been inspired by the comedian Richard Pryor. Has been, like, fucking guy wrote this. It's melting my brain. I didn't have a stroke. That guy had a stroke. Anyway, Tarantino has really been inspired by the comedian Richard Pryor. Another major influence is the 70s B-movie Switchblade Sisters. Allow me to quote a few lines from Pulp Fiction. Do you want to play Jules?
Are we actually doing this?
Oh, yeah. Oh. Here, you play Vincent, I'll play Jules.
Okay, hold on. Let me scroll back up. I thought we were skipping this. Oh, this is weird, too, like how it's like...
Well, the way this one's set up is, it's like weirdly spaced, but anyway.
Alright, we ready?
Yep.
Let's see if I'm trying to figure out if I can do it.
Travolta?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I can do it.
Hey, Mr. Carter!
Do Travolta for the whole thing, but I don't think I got it.
I'm telling you now, I can't do Samuel L. Jackson. I'm not going to attempt that.
Alright. You know what's fun? You know what the funny thing about Europe is?
What?
It's the little differences. A lot
That spacing's weird. Yeah, it's fucked you up. I see.
It's the little differences. A lot of the same shit we got here, they got there, but there's a little difference.
Examples? All right, we're not gonna go through. All that. No, that's written weird. Like the way
just the way the spacing is, it's weird to like with your eye lining.
Well, also like the three theirs in one sentence. There, but they're a little different. Like fuck that. All right, so yeah,
but, like I know what these like because I've said things like that, but to read it to like say it's weird. But you guys know the scene.
I usually prefer to try to avoid things like the there, as in there, they are.
Yeah.
Because it just, that sounds, like, you have moments like we just had where it confuses you. But anyway, write funny dialogue.
But it's the Royale with cheese scene.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, I don't know.
Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it La Big Mac. Royale with cheese. I thought he was going to go with the fucking coffee scene. In Tarantino's house.
yeah.
Tarantino just... Never mind. I don't even...
What I would have liked is the say what again.
Yeah,
because that was funny. Like even though that it was like very like intimidating and stuff, I found it humorous.
Know your influences. Tarantino considers himself to be more of a novelist than a screenwriter. That's how he approaches his work. Novelists quite often use nonlinear story structure, so it's no surprise that many of Tarantino films use this technique. Elmore Leonard is a major source of inspiration for Tarantino. Once you know this, it's easy to see the direct correlation. Leonard wrote crime novels and westerns. Tarantino even directed and wrote the screenplay for Jackie Brown, which is based on the Leonard novel Rum Punch. I did not know that.
No.
While Tarantino cites inspiration from crime novels and crime films, he has also been inspired by authors like J.D. Salinger. In a 1994 interview with David Wilde, Tarantino spoke on how J.D. Salinger influenced the anthology format of Pulp Fiction. When you read his Glass family stories, they all add up to one big story. That was the biggest example for me.
See, I always thought he was more inspired by Japanese movie makers and stuff like that. I thought unless if I'm getting confused with somebody else.
No, he does a lot of homage. Like Kill Bill was a big homage to that and stuff, and spaghetti westerns and different things. But I think that just on the writing side of things and how he puts things together, he puts. Like you said, he writes, the writing is what comes first in a movie, and he focuses more almost on writing a novel and then transforming that novel into the movie.
Now, since I was going to wait till later to ask you this, but since he kind of brought it up in here with, like, he writes out his stories like he's a novelist. How do you think a Quentin Tarantino novel would be?
I think it'd be pretty interesting. I read some parts of his screenplays and they're really well written, so I think it'd be good. I'd like to see maybe get into that when he's retired from.
Yeah, because like we were saying, he said he only has a set amount of films that he's going to do for some dumb reason.
Seems very pedantic.
Yeah,
stupid.
And like really, like for as long as he's been making movies, you think he would have reached that already?
Yeah, seems a little pretentious.
Yeah.
Number 7, know your audience. Tarantino knows what he wants and is crystal clear about it. He makes a movie that he will enjoy. His ideal audience is himself, and he knows it. Well, that's easy. Service yourself. In his words, he makes genre pieces, so he knows his movies aren't for everyone, and he's absolutely fine with that. And then they have, I remember watching this interview. It's like this fat, angry lady with a cowboy hat who's interviewing him. She starts off with why the need for so much gruesome graphic violence? Because it's so much fun, Jane! I'm having a great time making a terrific movie that people are having fun seeing. Maybe not you, but you know what, Jane? I don't think I made it for you.
Looks so weird.
Yeah. You kind of...
Shut it! Shut it!
If you look just at the... Maybe if you had glasses. There's worse people you could look like. You look like Sarah Jessica Parker. Or, I don't know.
I don't know who that would be more worse for, me or her.
Oh.
Like, if I looked like her, if she looked like me, like, who has the worst takeaway there?
Yeah, I don't know. Number 8, have clear writing goals. Over the years, it is clear that Tarantino has fallen in love with writing. He said publicly if he didn't find the right actor to play Han Landa in the film Inglourious Bastards, he was ready to just stop there and publish the screenplay. Luckily, he found Christoph Waltz to play the role, and the rest is history. When I wrote a movie, I want to write a piece of literature. I want to write a novel. I want to say, if I just stopped right here and did not make a movie, that would be good enough. I like that's a cool way to go about it.
Yeah.
I like it because even if you didn't, like Guillermo del Toro said, I think I forget how many, like hundreds maybe, or 100, like completely finished, ready to go screenplays of different movies that haven't been bought. And it's like, nobody reads it. That sucks. But like, if you get Quentin Tarantino, he just release it for people to read. That'd be awesome.
And then people might like it and you'd be able to get it made into a movie.
Yeah. After hearing this, it's no surprise that Tarantino wants to focus his attention toward writing novels and plays after he retires from filmmaking. He's going to make 2 more films. And this was in 2018, so 1 more film, I guess?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to do Kill Bill.
Like a 3rd one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so he will work on novels and stuff. So we might get to see a Quentin Tarantino.
That'd be interesting, I think.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool. Go steal like an artist. Stealing like an artist isn't actually theft.
Let's see.
Rather, it means borrowing inspiration from other sources you love. There is no doubt that Tarantino steals like an artist. For example, in Kill Bill, the bride wears a yellow suit that is very similar to the suit that Bruce Lee wore in Game of Death. The beginning of Inglourious Basterds actually mirrors a scene in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's not a ripoff, but the scene is definitely inspired by that movie. In many ways, Tarantino took the idea from one scene in a movie, and then he made it even better by taking it to another level. Remember, Tarantino is a student of film. He reaches deep into all his film knowledge and then sprinkles in ideas from the movies that he loves in his own movie. Okay. And it has some kind of...
There should be an S there.
Shut up, Sandra.
Look, I don't get a lot of time to... Like, I don't get a lot of opportunities to correct somebody else's grammar, so...
I'm just reading this little list.
Yeah.
Good theft versus bad theft. Anyway, here's a formula of sorts that you can use in your own writing. Your inspiration plus your idea equals something new. The key is to never settle for just one form of inspiration. When you continually inspire yourself by filling yourself with new content, you can keep things fresh and be more creative. So, if you're going to steal, do it in a way that's not douchey and blatant. Yeah. Like just, an homage, if you will. Number 10, don't be afraid to toy with the audience. Tarantino enjoys playing the audience like a puppet. This approach is built right into the screenplay. He wants to make you laugh and then shock you. Consider the backseat scene in Pulp Fiction. That's a good one. That's there to shock you, startle you, and move the story forward. It may even make you laugh some to yourself. It's all there by design. Tarantino wants to make you laugh again and then disgust you. When the end user goes on a roller coaster ride, Tarantino says, "That's a real experience. That's what I call going to see a movie. That's worth leaving the house for." He almost sounds like he's a more artsy version of Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Just making movies that he wants to make that entertains himself, first and foremost. That kind of is like and then his rabid fan base.
Yeah.
The takeaway. As writers, we can all learn something from Tarantino's approach. Maybe you need to spend more time thinking about the backstories to your characters. Or maybe you need to simplify your writing process. While no one else can write like Tarantino, you could take some of these concepts and apply them to your own writing. I'd like to leave you with one last quote from Tarantino. I read it as a call for you to carry the torch, to keep creating, to keep writing, to inspire others to do the same. I make movies that I hope will inspire other people to make movies. Quentin Tarantino. That's a shitty quote. I don't know, that wasn't inspiring. So, the main thing I got from that is I'm going to try to... Because this is...
You're going to write in a notebook.
But here's the thing. This isn't just him. As long as we've been doing this now, I've read up on a lot of different authors.
Yeah.
He does it. Neil Gaiman does it. When you go with George R.R. Martin, he uses like an old DOS word processors or some shit. I think Stephen King used to always write longhand until his eyes got too fucked up. But there's still a lot of modern writers who write it out first.
Yeah.
And then they type it up. And I don't know. That might be the way to go. Maybe that'll help with my distractions,
Maybe.
We'll see how it goes. But you're going to write a whole novel like that too, right?
Yeah, by next episode it'll be done.
Next episode. Fuck. If we said that in the end of December for the New Year's Eve episode, I could say, all right, you got till next year, buddy.
Yeah.
Damn it. Missed it. Oh, it could even be better. We can still make jokes about, man, that happened like a decade ago.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Anyway, I hope you folks found
do you agree with like a lot of these like his writing like Tarantino? Like I just seem like it just seems like kind of basic writing advice.
Yeah, it didn't seem very it didn't help me with any screenwriting. Like I guess I should if you folks I'll put it in the show notes, but again, that article is on Writing Cooperative, written by Jim Woods, not James Woods.
Might as well been.
Yeah. He didn't say anything racist. And he had the Samuel L. Jackson quotes in there, so
yeah.
I didn't read that whole quote though, so I don't know how.
Yeah.
the whole dialogue scene. Yeah, I mean that was kind of basic. It wasn't as helpful as like the Neil Gaiman one we did a long time ago. I felt like that had better tips, but just far as like very basic writing things just to get started, I would you can get some information from that. Again, if you folks want to read those, that article's in the show notes. If you want to check out what we do, you can go to drunkenpenwriting.com. Hit us up on the old Twitter at drunkpenwriting. Go on Instagram at drunkenpenwriting or Facebook. You know the name. Yeah, that's about it. I think we covered that weird guy without going too much into his foot fetish.
Or just enough.
What if you had a fetish of liking to watch Quentin Tarantino share his foot fetish? Like you like to see other people's fetish. That's your fetish, watching other people's fetish.
And it could be any fetish.
Any fetish at all.
I mean,
not illegal.
That like I could see you getting in trouble with something like that.
Yeah, you're just a creep.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, what about if somebody's like fetish is like grass, and you just see somebody like getting down and rubbing some grass, so that makes you get down because you know that's that guy's fetish, or therefore you have to get, it's weird.
I guess. I mean, there's a lot worse things you could see than. I don't know, man.
I just picked something up at random. That's all.
Yeah, I guess you did.
Long day.
Says you. You didn't have to play basketball with teenagers.
Nobody made you.
Dude, maybe they bullied me. You don't know.
You should have been there to begin with.
Yeah, you're right.
If you're playing basketball, you need to play basketball with other, like, middle-aged white men with too many sweatbands on.
I didn't have any sweatbands on.
Like somebody your age should. You need to start acting your age.
I did hook shots, man. I did lots of hook shots. Shut up. I could still.
You know what? I'm starting to think that Alexa is right about you.
Oh. No, we're not going into that. You folks have a lovely day. Don't listen to Spencer. I'm not elderly. Not yet. He's more elderly than me somehow.
You're older than me.
Shut up. Shut up.